friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sydney, and if you are new here, this is just a spot where we can talk about true crime, conspiracy theories, scam stories, paranormal stuff. Basically whatever I got going on in my brain, we talk about it, we discuss it. So today I'm going to try something just a little bit different. We are going to be talking about Reddit scary stories. I have kind of a modge podge of things just from different subreddits, and we are gonna have a little Reddit and Rosé. Okay, so I am cheap. Hi, I'm a broke college kid. Sunny with a chance of flowers. It's a twist top. This is what we're gonna be drinking today. Cheers, my friends. This is the driest, most bitter rosé I've ever had. Oh my goodness. So I have not read most of these stories. These stories are just things that I've found from around Reddit that I've sort of reviewed and that I'm going to be reading with you guys. Let's hop right into it. The first story we're going to read today is actually from the subreddit called Paranormal by user humble-stranger6445, and it is called It Runs in the Family. Since I was a little kid, you could call me different. I had this aunt, the sister of my mom, who you could say was gifted. Years later, she was diagnosed as schizophrenic, although I think that's just the term they gave her because they couldn't explain what was going on with her. I was always really close to her, practically raised by her since my mom was working all day. Since I was little, she kept saying that because I was her favorite, that I would inherit her gift. She could see the figures of people that never passed on the other side, left wandering around the world in an attempt to ease themselves. She told me that you can't see their faces, but only their shadows. It has a set of rules going on when you encounter them for the sake of your sanity. Number 1, you never look straight at them for a long time. Number 2, you don't invite them in. Never. And that's in all caps. Number 3, they can't harm you, only scare you, unless you invite them into your home, thus number 2. Number 4, if it goes too far, pray and everything will be all right. I never really believed her until I started to see the shadows following me around, lurking around me, and from time to time, I would often see them in my dreams at my doorstep trying to come in. They were mostly friendly figures, but it didn't matter because you could always sense the evilness in their eyes. Then it got worse. Oh, how could it get worse than this? This sounds horrifying. I remember one night I was casually playing on my computer and I heard footsteps and screaming from outside. The current time was 3:03 at night. Ugh. As I went on my balcony, figures started to project on the wall, people running with wagons, mostly crying, screaming, in a language I didn't know and I never heard of. Little kids falling and being pressed to death by the feet of others and torches in the air moving forward. It was so loud that it nearly bled my ears. I checked the other apartments, but no one was out, and the road in front of me was empty. You couldn't see anything for miles, but still the figures were moving and the noises were deafening. For the first time in my life, I froze and felt that I couldn't move. Tears were streaming down my face and I could barely breathe. The smell of torches were in the air. I closed my eyes and prayed, thus falling onto the ground and hitting my ankle. Everything went silent and I went back into the apartment trembling. The smell of smoke in the apartment and I could see it in the air. None of my family members had awoken and none of them even seemed to wake up or notice me. I quietly went and covered myself in my blanket, crying all night until I fell asleep with the sun rising. The following morning, my grandma woke me up and informed me that it was my time to deliver the klova and bread, which is spiritual food we cook for the dead in Greece, because it was All Souls Day and my uncles are waiting for me to deliver. She asked if I had turned on the fireplace because she smelled the fire and that I shouldn't light it at night because it might burn the house if unattended. So it seems like she has inherited the gift from her aunt then, if like she saw that stuff. That's creepy as hell. I can't even imagine what I would do because it's hard. The poster says time and time again, like, no, this is real, this actually happened to me. It's a weird situation, but that story to me is really interesting. So this next story also comes from the subreddit r Paranormal. It's titled Really Need Some Help. For the past 5 years, me and my boyfriend have been dealing with a weird issue. We are in a long-distance relationship, and we have this routine of watching movies and falling asleep on the phone. That's so cute. I really like that. Everything is fine in the daytime and evening, but at night we have this continuous problem with noises on the phone. He's recorded our conversation several times. While I'm sleeping or moving around, there's voices whispering and men talking. I've been trying to rationalize what this is. I keep my TV on while I sleep, but the volume is always at 2 so you can barely hear it. I thought maybe this is just natural sounds from my background we were interpreting as voices or words, but it just can't be. He recorded one last night. I made a noise that sounded like a moan, then a man's voice clearly say, "I hate hearing that." Emphasis on hate. The past recordings my boyfriend has done, I've listened to it and it sounds like the same voice. I'm not sure what to do at this point. I don't know if it's someone playing in my phone or if this is something paranormal, but it doesn't make any sense at all. And then there's an update to this post. I've included 3 of the recordings. Please, anyone who is familiar with audio engineering, I'd really like your input on these. Thank you. That definitely sounds like a man's voice, and it stands out from the rest of the kind of ambient sound that's happening. I really hope the people on Reddit can help her sort of get some answers, because that is definitely something that is mad at her being in that house or in that space, and that just has bad vibes written all over it. That's a hard no for me. Ick. So the next story we're going to be talking about is from the subreddit Skinwalker, which I didn't even join the subreddit. I just took a gander because that, I think, is the scariest thing to me. If you guys want me to do a video on it, I can, because I think researching some of these things is really useful and kind of therapeutic, honestly. But I'm really terrified. I'm really scared of skinwalkers. Like, that's, some people call them mimics too, just because skinwalker has some sort of like weird connotations. I'm not, like I said, I'm not too familiar with them, but anyway. The user is 2011 is my birthday. This story is called Skinwalker Encounter. Back when I was 8, I saw something I'll never forget. This is how it went. So my cousin was 6 at the time and was sleeping up in her locked room. My dad had said, "I'm gonna go make breakfast, see if your cousin is up." "Okay," I replied. I hopped up the stairs and turned into my sister's room where she was staying. I then opened the door to see her sleeping, and I poked her a few times to make sure that she wasn't faking sleeping, I'm assuming. I took about 2 steps out the door, not closing it behind me, to see my cousin crawling down the stairs, like she teleported. She wasn't there before. I took a look really fast between the two. They were both real. I quickly walked down the stairs, and my cousin followed. Later, I told my dad, who didn't believe me. This still left me with one question. What if the sleeping one woke up? What if I chose the wrong one? What if? So there are 2 comments on this post, and both of them say, you know, this is not a skinwalker, this is more of like a doppelganger type situation. I know that skinwalkers usually tend to mimic sounds or people to lure their victims in, so I feel like this could have been a skinwalker or a doppelganger. Either one. I think that that's really creepy and really unexplainable as well, especially if it was just her dad, and her cousin, and nobody else in the house. It's like, how the fuck would you be able to tell the difference? What creates this type of being, this type of energy? I just think it's, ooh, God, this one's horrendous. Okay, so we're going to be switching gears a little bit, and we are going to head over to the subreddit Let's Not Meet, a classic, okay? And this is from the user The Real Holy Gamer, and this post is called I Am Never Exploring Ever Again. Now, this is something I really want to talk about to be sure that everyone is cautious and stays level-headed at all times. Now, for context, I live in the middle of nowhere in Canada. It was an old town that had quite a few abandoned buildings due to the absence of residents. Me and many friends were tired of the lack of entertainment options for us, so what we did is we explored these abandoned buildings. Oh, this is not a good start, okay? Prior to the experience I'm about to talk about, we never really had anything too crazy happen to us. Occasionally, we'd see a small bit of blood-like liquid, and we did see a pentagram on the ground from someone who went into a house previously, but nothing too bad. That sounds pretty bad. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Now, when I was younger, I went to a daycare that was part mental hospital. Weird combination, I know. I was just gonna say that. I'm like, that's a little fucked up. It closed down due to a lack of patients and lack of children at the daycare. I decided to go back there with my friends a few years ago. For context, I was 15 when that happened, and most of my friends were the same age. When we did get there, it was rather cliche. There was fog, it was rather dark, and there was a light drizzle of rain. We went to the main gate, which was padlocked shut. We decided to help each other hop over it and made a ton of noise. We were laughing and giggling the whole time, unsuspecting of what to come. We looked around the small play place or park with flashlights that we had on our person. Even with our somewhat powerful flashlights, our visibility was rather limited. We decided to enter the daycare building. Glass and dirt crunched under our feet as we stepped into the daycare section of the complex. There were still old Legos, wood chips from previous furniture, old torn dolls, toys strewn about. The further we walked around the daycare section, we naturally became more and more silent until all we could hear was the crunch of dirt under our feet. I found some crayons in a plastic container in the corner of the room. I walked over to pick them up when all of a sudden we heard a loud crash coming from behind a metal door leading to the psych ward part of the building. My friends and I all looked at each other. As a whole, we were a group of 5. Most of them were very bold and cocky. We all looked at each other, and my friend Brian decided we go back and look to see where the sound came from. Personally, I was not fond of this idea, but with my group of friends, there was no way anyone was going to decline such a thing. As we walked in, the metallic smells and must became stronger, with a hint of something else which I couldn't put my finger on at that moment. We walked in, our flashlights pointed in every direction with Brian leading the group. The hallways were tight, and to the left and right were the occasional metal doorway with some doors open. I felt slightly claustrophobic, and it felt a little hard to breathe. As we continued, Brian shone his flashlight into the room and recoiled. We all stopped walking as Brian slowly entered the room. "What is it?" I asked him. "I thought I saw someone here. But it seems all fine now." To be honest, I thought he was just messing with us to increase our anxiety, but looking back, I think he was completely honest. He backed out of the room, and we continued walking deeper into the psych ward, when another friend swiftly told us to stop. We came to a halt and all listened. In the distance ahead of us, we heard the subtle pitter-patter of footsteps echoing through the hallway. We all looked at each other, fear in each of our eyes. Brian continued walking towards the sound. We considered turning back for a second without Brian, wondering if some ghost or something was in the building, but we couldn't do that to him. The closer we got, the more I felt like I was being watched. When we finally entered the room on the right, which had the smell of rotting meat, in front of us was a dead deer. Its innards were spilled all over the floor and staining the concrete. A friend of mine had a very weak stomach and vomited all over the floor, which is fair. No shame in that. I would probably do the same, or run out screaming or something. That's crazy. That's when he heard whispering from somewhere. Brian shone his flashlight to the corner of the room where a man with short hair was standing with his head down. He wore a bright green t-shirt stained with what I assume was blood and torn beige pants. He did not have any socks and his feet seemed damaged. He was twitching sporadically and continued to mumble even after we saw him. We stared at him for a solid 30 seconds before he made his first true movement. He looked at us with a haunting grin that sent shivers down our spine. "You guys here for the feast?" he said, each word with varying inflection and energy. This kicked us over the edge and we bolted out of that room and all the way back to the daycare center. The door was still open and we decided to try and slam it shut, but the rust and pure weight of the door almost kept it open. It took 3 of us pulling with all of our strength to close it. And just before we did, I could still see the silhouette of the man watching us, his white teeth being the only other human feature I could see. We sat behind the metal door catching our breath for a second, all of us looking at each other for confirmation that we all saw the same thing. After a bit of labored breathing from all of us, we heard a light tap on the door. That's when we decided it was time to leave. We booked it out of there completely and ran home. A year after we visited the spot, police went back to do a routine search of the area and found the man. It was stated that this guy used to go to the psych ward before it closed down. He escaped the facility he was transferred to and lived off the wildlife around the complex. When the cops brought him in, he had a series of diseases and sicknesses from eating the raw meat. His mental condition was much worse than before. There are future rumors that he did kill someone in the forest while searching for food, but nothing has been confirmed. In the end, guys, be careful, especially in dangerous areas such as abandoned buildings. And creepy dude, let's not eat meat. That one was a lot. I have never personally explored an abandoned building, and the appeal of it is really interesting. I don't think I could actually do it without being scared shitless. If that were me, the minute I heard any sort of sound, I would be out of there so fast. I wouldn't even see the dude. But it's really sad that that man, he obviously needed a lot of help, and he wasn't getting that help, so he was just doing what he could to stay alive. So I hope that that guy is getting the help that he needs now, and that everything's going well for him. Guys, we've read some spooky, scary stories. We have drank this disgusting rosé. Alcohol-wise, it's good. I'm feeling a little tipsy, but it tastes like shit. I guess the pros of this is it has 85 calories and 0 sugar, which is maybe why it tastes like shit, because there's nothing delicious in it. Next time we meet and we do a red and rosé, hopefully it's a little bit, I pick a better rosé, because this is not the vibe. I really want to know what you guys think about this series, because I'm kind of excited about it. It's more of like a laid back format. We're just kind of talking, we're discussing. Yeah, I want to know what you guys think of this and what do you guys think of these stories. Anyway, that is all I have for you guys today. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. I hope that you guys have a beautiful, lovely, amazing rest of your day. Make sure that you stay hydrated. Do something nice for yourself today. Take a break, relax. Just have a great rest of your day and keep being the bad bitches that you are. Okay, bye guys.